Hi everyone, I'm Olga Ramora, a former designer, and now I'm a founder of the Moonly app. On this channel, I share my experience and teach mostly about IT and brand building. Today, we are going to talk about IT product redesign. In my professional career, I was working with different businesses from online school and online store to games field and marketing interfaces. I was working as a lead designer and I did the redesign in the businesses that already had a complicated interface and the customers. When the product has its function with a large audience, the redesign is quite a complicated process. I participated in doing a redesign for Hotspot Shield VPN service in California and for game launcher by Innova company. So why do almost all growing and advancing companies need the redesign at different stages? The first reason when we do MVP, it's a minimal version of a product to test its product market fit. Founders do it fast and cheap. Then, if the product works, when it becomes bigger, new functions are added and it becomes complicated. There is no single design system because there were a lot of designers who were working on the product and each of them added something new. Another reason is when a company has a brand on the market for a long time. Meanwhile, new technologies and design trends appear, and to stay competitive, a company has to refresh the design. There are two ways of redesigns. The first one, when you change everything, the design system, UX functionality, and restyling. The second one, when your functionality is good and you have a design system, but your colors and illustrations look a little bit oldish and out of date. And I will talk more about the first dramatic change. Most of the IT companies around 3 to 5 years old come to the point when they need a complete redesign. And the first step for the product manager of the company is to create a detailed technical task for a UX designer using analytics and customer reviews. The next step usually is done by a junior designer who takes all the interfaces, all screens, all different elements, font sizes and colors to show the whole picture. In a design system, there shouldn't be 20 different shades of one color palette and a lot of different sizes of fonts. So the idea is to research and analyze the current brand design and bring the number of sizes and fonts used in a new design system to the minimum. Maybe at this stage, the UI, UX or brand designer can make some slight changes with the graphics or illustration style, but not very significant. The changes should not be very different from the design that the product already has because customers are used to this service. A lot of companies and founders are afraid to make big changes. So you have to be careful about tests and analytics. Often the goal at this stage may be to make the product better, but not to change it a lot and to keep it still recognizable. The next stage is to implement the new design system and the UX system into main pages. It could be the onboarding paywall or the main page of your core functionality. When the design is accepted by the team and the founders, normally the next stage is to develop this design system to prepare all elements before we put the new design to the whole interface. It also takes a lot of time to complete the design. And through all these stages, there are a lot of discussions. And this is not a very fast process. My experience shows that for companies, it usually takes 1 year of work. When I'm talking about design systems, it's not only about colors, fonts, and its size. It's also about layout, grid system, illustration style, icon size. It's a whole system with its own logic, as each element has to reflect the core idea of the product. Is it soft or sharp, classical or luxury? And this is all about the communication. Each picture color, each pixel has to be like a message for user experience. The design system has to carry the message of its core brand value. And the final stage is the implementation of that redesign for real customers, for App Store, Google Play, all platforms, or maybe just your website if you have your application on the web. So it's quite a complicated process. What I understood from my experience is that you have to be in good contact with the designer and trust him. The problem is that a designer will always try to make it better, more trendy according to his taste. And the thing is that the product owner has a deeper understanding, knowledge of his audience and the product. And there are a lot of discussions around this process, and eventually the team has to be very attentive and logically consistent. So you should find the balance between going forward and not changing the product too much. You may need to take the best ideas from designers to improve the logic, but still explain carefully to the designer why some parts need to be not very logical just because your test shows that users are not very logical there. And they need that strange flow, and it works better. So design is all about logic, but a real user experience is not very logical sometimes. And about the last part, implementation, you need to be patient and it might take a lot of time, and there has to be a good contact between a designer and the developer. So trendy designs can't done fast. For example, blur effect and some animations. While the scroll don't use a lot of animations and illustrations in the paywall. And this is always a balance between technical implementation and the design idea. So I wish you to be very successful with your redesign results. And also now over the last year, we've been working on the redesign of the Moodle app. The new design will appear during the summer in our application, and every time for me, this is a kind of magical process because you can't predict what finally you will get. When you consider all details from a user review, analytics, and monetization growth, the main target is the product growth. And this is kind of magic.